My name is Carolyn Hirsch. I am a travel nurse. My hobby is traveling. I have about 5 states left to go before I've hit all 50. So that's my summer goal.
You are incredible. And can I just say, I have loved living vicariously through all of your travel and your adventures, because you don't just travel, you also adventure. Like whether it's
Yes.
rock climbing or hiking, or you're always doing something really
Yes.
adventurous.
Yes. I originally started just because I wanted to be a better version of myself. And I wanted to understand more about eating healthy and what kind of foods were good for my body. And ultimately, losing weight was a goal as well. But really understanding how my body works.
Tell us about what you're proud of having achieved. Did you become a better nourished version of yourself?
I most certainly did. Yes. I feel like I learned so much that I couldn't even spew out here, but a lot of it was listening to my body, fueling my body well, drinking enough water really enabled me to continue to adventure well. I started with you, I think, in January, and then ended up moving to the West Coast a few months later. And I started hiking and doing a lot of outdoors recreational things that I don't know that I would have been able to do well. My body would have been able to keep up with if I hadn't been listening to it and feeling it well. A lot of it was saying yes to things that I didn't necessarily think I was capable of, and then forcing myself out of my comfort zone and then realizing that my body can actually do more than I think it can. I'll never forget my first hike when I moved to Washington. It was called Lena Lake, and it was 7.5 miles and a significant amount of elevation gain. And at the end of my time in Washington, which was about 5.5 months later, I took one of my friends on this same hike, and I was preparing her. I was like, it's a tough hike, but we're going to be able to do it. It'll be great. We got to the top of the lake, and I was like, oh, I'm here already. And it just went faster. I felt stronger, and I noticed such a huge difference of all of the hikes and everything that I had done and pushed myself in between, that I realized that I was capable of so much more than I was even giving myself credit for. A lot of times we speak to ourselves in a way of like, I couldn't do that, or I don't know that I'm capable of doing that, or how will I look doing that. And I think once we get outside of that and we focus on what our journey actually is, then that's when we can start to grow. It was something that I had to come to the conclusion for myself, and that I was worth it, and that I couldn't hold myself back from things that I wanted to do anymore. And it really wasn't about anybody else. I just didn't want to live on the sidelines anymore. I wanted to run. I wanted to hike. I wanted to do these things that I didn't think I was necessarily capable of. And so I decided just to try it. And it worked out.
I am so
Yeah.
glad that you decided not to live on the sidelines anymore, and that you're feeling so good and strong in your body that you're even thinking about doing more races in the future and adventuring, for as long as your body is physically capable of.
I did. I signed up for another race in April. I officially signed up. So yes.
You are
Here we go.
incredible. Oh my gosh. And such a source of inspiration. I mean, you truly have just taken powerfully fueled and really kind of demonstrated that or illustrated that in your everyday life. So it has been a pleasure to kind of walk alongside of you throughout this journey, Carolyn. And thank you for allowing me to be the coach in your corner.
Yeah, well, thank you for everything. I feel like I would have definitely not gotten as far as I did without checking in with you and the accountability and the time that you spent. So it's great.